vis-a-vis waxing poetic, no, waxing pretentious, which it is, admittedly, uh, easy to write off the storied default of cursing the capital letters normies, uh, big, big red capital letters. Shining, glowing, flaming text, JPEG, JPEG artifacting. Uh, oh, right, to, it's easy to say, well, it's a bit pretentious, but it is not incorrect to say that most people fall into the uh, hapless consumer territory in many cases, just as a statistical thing. You know, if there were, if it weren't catering to the masses to be doing what they were doing, if it were anything else, then they probably wouldn't be doing it. They've got market research in droves, and uh, ultimately, I would like to think, at least, maybe not necessarily, because they never did revert the much behated phantoms, despite no creature on Earth ever seeming to speak positively of them. Speak positively of them. It is, I think, still not totally unreasonable to assert that if the demand was really for something like this, as opposed to if this were the ideal product for the most amount of people, then this would be done. This is, like, prima facie the niche product because less people want or care about it. Most people think all the new stuff is, uh, if not cool overall, maybe they think it's enduringly stupid ultimately, but they will also think frequently that it is at least novel in the moment, that it is, oh, it's neat, it's interesting, we have a new thing to do, there's a new Minecraft update, it's time to make a new Minecraft server for the new Minecraft update. Isn't that cool? And we're gonna have Minecraft and we're gonna have updates. There's gonna be a new Sniffler that's red and can see the future. We're incorporating elements of the Minecraft Telltale games into the new Minecraft update, and the red Sniffler that tells the future is going to be voiced by Captain Spartle. And you're not gonna like what he has to say about the war. The red looks exactly like that gay dog from the new Pikmin. Um, right, this is the niche product. Point being, I do think in a world where this was raved for in greater quantities than the occasional, essentially tuber waxing poetic about this sort of lost magic getting a million views perhaps, but Minecraft has been bought by perhaps 3 billion people more than 1 million, so it's not a particularly massive demographic. Yeah, you'll notice the enduring 200% gamma for being able to see in the minings, but See, now I can't tell if it's actually fucked up or if it's fine. Maybe it is just fine. Maybe all the lighting is okay. And it just seems darker because of the comparison. The point is, they would make like a WoW classic kind of thing. They would say, okay, we're gonna make a new Minecraft that's like old Minecraft, and people would cheer and they would start. What am I? I'm mining, constantly Minecrafting. Uh, People would cheer in the streets. There would be a lot of assumedly like butt fucking or like coming or whatever in celebration by all sorts of minds and matters. Or maybe they would be monk-like and celibate, and they would only post slam poetry in celebration of the new old Minecraft for women, for dogs, for the Amish, for soaking, and they have to keep doing soaking off into the future. Everyone needs to, more people need to do soaking. That's arguably, it's more wacky sensual than the alternative because it is inherently, even if you don't consider it a threesome, analogous to one, roughly equivalent to one, functionally equivalent to one. Bring back soaking into the public consciousness. Two guys made 3 jokes about it like 5 years ago, and no one thinks about it anymore. Bring back interesting interpretations of, well, not canon law, but relevant equivalents to canon law. They're gonna essentially always be driven by the, as you say, the most amount of people, reaching the most amount of people, and you can't actually get the most amount of people out of this because most people play like FIFA and the new Call of Duty. They don't really give a fuck about, oh man, the artismo quality of the new Savalor Tavern Minecraft update created by Mogyang Incorporated, hypothetically, in a situation where this were to occur, because they don't like go deep into constantly Minecrafting. They go into like, oh, we're gonna play the new Sniffler game mode. We're gonna hang out with the new Dunkin' Donuts branded Red Sniffler, voiced by Jimmy Kimmel, and they like that, and they like all the Nightmare mod pack bullshit, and they don't like, what if we took all the stuff out of the game? They want, what if we had more stuff in the game so there was more novelty and more like, ooh, what about this now? What if we did this now? And that's why the common trope is, I love to play Minecraft for no more than 14 days and then never touch it again until moving on to something completely different, perhaps within a craft oil format, but certainly not the same place, not the same pack, not the same thing. Not all at once, at least. Maybe some revisiting. In an ideal world, obviously there would be a Minecraft like this, as the main one that is not owned and operated by having just watched the new uh, Dawson video, the line of pitching to an executive who is not engaged with the medium that they are in control of the funding of since they were 12, stealing the line entirely, total plagiarism, and I will be executed. More than usual today. A lot of Tribe of the new secret hidden second tribe of Shabazz. This time it's for the Vietnamese Israelites. Da, 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 da. I think, yeah, it does. It is both vaguely contemptible to do the like accursed detestable normies suffered ignominy for being nowhere near as cool as my addled mind shtick, because it is both accurate, it is correct, but it is also the kind of correct that everyone thinks they are, in the sense that everyone who thinks it would be cool to be a Silma male thinks that they are in fact the Silma male. They are in fact Patrick Bageman, and everyone is totally subservient to the level of atrocity and derangement in their mind, where actually they are functionally a totally normal guy with like job prospects and I mean the general thing is to say like having a job and getting your penis sucked, but if anything, schizophrenia in the modern era makes you more likely to be sucking and fucking than ever. The plur-raver demographic, widely beloved by uh, genius minds, or generally aspirational on account of the, not necessarily the ketamine in of itself, but more the effects being on a constant low K high has on your continued consciousness, in that you become more of a faggot essentially, which is good, and again emulatable, emulable, emuloidable, emuloidic. But it's simultaneously true and also like, yeah, it's the kind of thing like you sound like a jackass when you say it, even when you are totally correct in doing so, and also in like identifying yourself as a shithead, insufferable outsider type, which is uh, unintentionally too harsh, perhaps. A whimsical mind, perhaps? Possessing a whimsical mind? It goes the whole gamut from totally normal guys complaining about normal guys to asocial fuckers who are quite intent on being superior to the worms below them, spitting on the plebeians with their fucked taste for losers and dweebs, mothers and nerds. But it's also, there are an infinite amount of turbo fucked, again, insano faggots that also must needs subscribe to the same thought work, otherwise there's no thought work to be had. It's kind of the primary lens with which I think a lot of vaguely delirious types, i.e., yours truly, and uh, what's another funny? The recipient has grown old now after a few days away from the concept. What if it was some kind of Animal Crossing or My Sims TM, Agents TM, Kingdom TM for the Nintendo Wii TM style letter in the letterbox? A letter from your best friend Buddy who works at the dipshit hotel and has. And I can never play that game to its fullest because you can't have all the guys. I want a village where I can have all the guys from My Sims in the My Sims village. It's easier in My Sims because there's only like 56 My Sims in My Sims, whereas there's like 800 villagers in Animal Crossing, and they all. I mean, a lot of them kind of talk the same, but they have different catchphrases. Whereas Buddy has the gamer arcade like carpet essence that he gives you, and you could never get any more of that. I wanted more of that, and I couldn't get it, and so the only thing that had the because I had pants that were basically exactly that like off-brand Space Invaders bullshit, and I thought it was cool that my pants were the carpet essentially, but he only gave me like 8, so it was only the carpet. And you can do anything else with it. Not that you could really like it would look like shit if you put that on the furniture, because it's like just a really tacky wallpaper and carpet. But you know, you put it in other houses. You could put it in like one of the rooms in what's her name? Curly? I always because she just looks like a off-brand Curly Brace with her little DJ earphones. Whatever. Yeah, essentially it's true and accurate and like cool or whatever, and laudable to analyze it that way. And I think while it is nominally worth lampshading, that it is sort of a bullshit thing to say, bullshit way to talk. That's the only way that it's feasible to talk, generally speaking, with just an eye to the future and to all available realities. And so by virtue of being so invested in the niche product, it becomes turn the fucking game up. It becomes essentially necessary to have these uh you could dismissively call them hipsterisms. Maybe that's not entirely accurate, but it's approximate enough that it's not bullshit to say. Uh Insofar as, you know, I like this thing that is less popular and beloved by less minds in practice, even though many people will whinge about how it used to be better. Most people will still play the new one. Most people do not go back to like InDev or InfDev. Most people don't go back to like early betas or alphas. Mostly they'll just be like, yeah, Minecraft used to be way better. Anyway, let's play the newest version immediately. Which is uh if you it's one of those sort of in the practice things. Like if you believe that, if you genuinely believe that, then why are you doing the thing you think is worse as opposed to the thing you think is better? The answer, of course, is it's mostly like the ethos that appeals here. It's like the screensaver aesthetic of uh eating a cookie in your pajamas and uh playing early Minecraft. It's that vision in your head that's the point. It's that thing that can be partially captured by revisiting, but never entirely unless you're willing to commit to a series of, again, kind of pretentious, deeply over emotional sort of, uh, like intentionally carved out psycho vulnerabilities. If you figuratively bash yourself in the skull enough in order to absorb this sort of thing very emotionally and begin to weep whenever you see like particularly pretty world gen, then obviously you can get more of that out of it, but most people aren't going to do that either intentionally or unintentionally. They're just going to kind of like they want to. I'm struggling. Oh, oh, the pause button. Of course, my new invention, the pause button. The new pause button technology is fairly good. And allows for things like water breaks, or ideally, watching the next part of the video in the event that such a thing occurs without simply watching exactly 1 minute and then bursting into particularly elongated conversation. But yeah, most people are not weepy to that extent. They do not uh, exist in, I think, enough detachment from the outworld to get in on themselves that much, that consistently, to get that much of a like consistent thrum of gut punch out of it. And even then, it's also like because it is that aesthetic thing primarily. I think a lot of these people still prefer having more things to do. They prefer having more options, and they do not meaningfully adore any more so the the loops, the gameplay loops and gameplay sort of incentives, the setup of the olden days. They're not enamored by that as much as they are sort of the look of it, which I will not knock because the look of it is provably amazeballs, etc. But I think it's self-evidently kind of that way because otherwise they would, like, if you really liked it more, you would just do it. But if you don't like it more, then you uh, don't do it. You do something else instead. You do the thing that you actually like more, which is generally, most commonly, just, oh, pick the most recent version of Minecraft, or maybe pick a mod pack out of a hat, like a Magician's Rabbit, Joker's Trick, which allegedly the initiator of the phrase Joker's Trick, Joker's underscore trick, spun off into like a media empire and a Twitch stream and everything, but I think that's all gone and has been for years. I think they deleted everything they ever had, and no one really remembers any of the, like, no, there's like one also weepy but like in a different way, sort of like waxing about gay internet culture, over much sort of, which is an aesthetic thing. It's not like a Vice article. It's some kind of publication. But you know, that's all anyone worth listening to does. But I think it's a sort of I'm complaining that they sound like a newspaper as opposed to sounding like anything else. I think sounding like a newspaper is one of the worst things you can do, like tautologically. So all that is to say essentially, uh yes, but with an extended series of similes about Jack Black playing the new Sniffler from Minecraft 1.28.3.0 or whatever the newest one is, and certainly in a real world situation with the rocks and stones and being hit with hammers in the head repeatedly, this will be a continuing great protracted bit under the weathering of uh all this doom, all this destruction unto my mind on account of the hatred bestowed upon me for my great ideas about uh, the new Sniffler that's blue and sounds like uh, Google.com. No, I'm not gonna type in Google.com. That would be funny, but it wouldn't be efficient. Who is the most comical rapper that could be invoked here? I have heard the name uh Don Oliver, who I assume is simply a blackface rendition of John Oliver from the late night show with Stephen Myers, who has on his writing staff Daniel D.O.B. and or T-Bone O'Brien from Agents of Cracked and uh, Obsessive Pop Culture Disorder, and allegedly After Hours in a kind of nebulous way, but they hated doing that shit for like 8 years, and it kind of shows, and that they just had to keep making it the same thing forever and sit there and weep, and they could never get out of it, no matter how hard they tried. Uh, but assumedly, John Oliver from the Weekly Show is cool and a rapper, and so he would be. What was the bit here? Oh, he's voicing the Blue Sniffler in the new update, and the Blue Sniffler gives you a little a little guy, a little like a gnome or an elf or something, a little ornament, a small ornament with some kind of gay boner or whatever. Who cares? Abort. Exit out of the fucking simulation. It sucks. No, it's dead. The hammers have killed it successfully. Extended. It's been like 10 more minutes of extended new Sniffler simile. Okay, and this is the part where the pause button is invoked in order to jump into a new topic vis-a-vis the mental obligation to engage with extant systems. I think going a bit further into the fucking give it a minute. Give it a minute. You can remember the stuff about the loop, the stuff about the progression, which is, kind of the same conversation, but also a little distinct. They're intersecting, overlapping, kind of happening in the same section there. You can kind of view something like enchantment as, I think, not necessarily not necessarily its own progression system even, but sort of as an, like, obviously, yes, it is literally a system that you progress in, but it is more so a functional acceleration of the extant loops that you describe. An acceleration of the process of looping around for more things to happen, for do this to do this to do this. You can get more diamonds faster by doing bullshit with the enchanting table. You can keep your gear alive for longer and not have to worry as much about getting more stuff to get more stuff to get more stuff with unbreaking. You can get more stuff faster with looting and efficiency and the like. And these are systems that are built to accelerate or accentuate the core loop, but they exist in, or like a, I forget if repairing is in the base game or if that's a modded thing that I am currently confabulating into memories of the regular Normoidal craft. But that's another thing. I'm pretty sure it's there. You can just repair stuff with less resources than you would have used to make a new thing, or maybe equivalent resources. I forget again. When I invoke the criminally terrible Belmoidal memory, no, wrong fucking thing. It is not without reason. It is not without justification to say so, because I can and will, as evidenced a mere minute and a half ago or something like that, forget things that I have, oh, that's a big fucking tree, just heard mere moments prior. Is this indicative of some kind of tumor? Unlikely. But hiccups. I've been told frequently that when I hiccup, to me it sounds like a hiccup internally, but I've been told that externally, away from being able to hear the diaphragm wiggle, that it sounds more like just sort of dying, or like throwing up in your mouth a little, which is unfortunate because it sounds quite funny internally. It's like a kind of thing going on. I have a mixed mind on stuff like enchanting, because I don't like doing it. Like there's the added resource farming. You have to set up like an XP farm for it, and you know, nominally it gives a use to lapis, but I think the way this does it is nicer, where lapis just does decorative blocks because it's a rare decorative thing. But there's also the like RNG gambling bullshit element to it, which I think, if anything, in more than any kind of sniffler, that must needs be described as the single most egregious fucking piece of padding out the game available to you. It's a World of Warcraft mechanic. It's a Warframe mechanic. It's this MMO like nightmare bullshit where, oh yeah, well, you got the best gear, but don't you want to roll? Don't you want to spend another fucking 50 raids to get the better Riven? To get the better fucking, like, stat roll on your random gear stats so that you can beat fucking you can beat your fucking lockout boss better? Don't you want to go through the wings slightly faster? Wouldn't it be cool? And it's gambling, and I don't like gambling. I'm fine with RNG mechanics. Most games have ample RNG. You know, any given RPG will have a great amount of RNG on account of the statistics, on account of the, maybe you hit, maybe you crit, maybe, it does this much or that much. It calculates the stats based on a role that is determined and influenced by, but not guaranteed to be a single thing, by the intersection of your stats versus the other guy's stats. It's the two real numbers plus a little thing, but that has like a purpose, that has a point, it's an important piece of dirt. It's an important piece of expression of the fantasy of the mechanics of the world in the gameplay, because in a turn-based RPG, you can't aim. You can't. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hmm. Give it a second here. I mean, I'll keep talking. I'm not gonna stop talking. I just gotta reject the monitor. Uh, in a turn-based RPG, specifically that kind of RNG, it makes infinite sense, necessarily, because it is the thing, right? It is the thing that enforces, that allows, whether you hit or miss is determined not by you aiming, because you can't aim, but by the world. It's the thing imported in from uh like tabletop RPGs. It's that element of like random storytelling that makes for fun. It allows for more things. It allows for, it's more of a, like, not story necessarily, but like personal, the story of your personal experience. Like, your run was saved by a very lucky roll, or you were instigated by this boss in the middle of a very intense battle or something. or something. And it is one of the sort of spinal columns that allows the whole thing to work. It creates your experience. It, defines and determines your experience, these things. Whereas alternatively, the uh, vaguely annoying experience that is the Minecraft enchanting table is just gambling. It's just gambling on getting better gear or not. It's not particularly interesting. I don't think it provides very much of anything. Uh, like, it makes it longer, makes it go for longer, makes you've got to do more stuff to get up and running in your maximum potential. But and it ultimately allows you to do things much more efficiently than otherwise, so it's ultimately not necessarily a time waster because you'll end up it's one of like those sort of, you do it now, the sooner you do it, the more time you save overall kind of things. Unfortunately, I still think it sucks, and I don't really want to do it. I will do it, but I probably won't bother to max it out. I'll just sort of get the basics, get the one or two things that I mostly want, and then walk away. It's the same thing with, the like villager stuff, villager trading, these extensive villager trading setups that I just don't give a fuck about because it's efficiency. It allows you to, you get the one trade that has the like sticks for emeralds, and then you get a sap like a tree farm going, and then you get like emeralds for whatever, emeralds for fucking diamonds or some bullshit. And then wow, you've got this intensely more convenient and efficient resource gathering thing. But ultimately, I think, it's in the name Minecraft. I think it's this awkward midpoint system between the sort of full automation you could reasonably expect from a mod pack with quarries or like auto miners or a laser beam that goes into a different dimension to get resources, but it fails on some very probably kind of arbitrary personal level because I don't like it that much. It feels like an awkward midpoint between that full automation and just actually doing the game, engaging with the mechanics. It feels like a way for people who don't want to engage with the mechanics of Minecraft to get the stuff they need to do the other stuff. Like, if you only want to play half the game, there's a mode for that. It's called creative mode, or like, I don't know, play with friends and have them go off and do their like autismo strip mining bullshit, and then you just come in and uh do the stuff you want to do and like fuck around with what are you building? That's fine. It's cool to build. They'll probably be like, "Hey man, this is an awesome build" or something. But it is agonizing to my weak little sensibilities that I like doing this. I like doing, and nominally, which is I say entirely too often, but it's a good word, good vocabulary word. Except no, phrasing it as a vocabulary word kind of implies you like don't really say it that much. It's just like a deep pull, I guess. But no, it's a good word miscellaneously. God, that's a lot of sap, man. It's fucking spring. Um, Jesus. Again, not only I would usually be all for, giving people options in that way, but I feel like it just like it's a really simple game, right? You mine and you craft. Crafting could be, crafting literally, but also usually also expressed as like building is essentially crafting, effectually. So you end up with this very simple gameplay loop that you can totally sidestep with this like belabored, awkward, you have to like push them into the boat and get in the boat and drive them around and put them in a little box, and that's assuming that like, what am I doing? That's the opposite of what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, 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 the misery and torment of being of sneezing and snuffling, and uh it's bubonic, maybe it's AIDS, could be AIDS. You can't disprove it. I mean, it is falsifiable. It is definitely a falsifiable claim whether you have AIDS or not, but uh, I just don't like it for that reason, that it's like mining and crafting are the two reasons you play the game generally, unless you're doing like an adventure map. And there are, excellent ways around it, but it's just this very extensive system that is also RNG based. It's also this like re-rolling your fucking like gotcha pulls shit. I don't like that. I do not like situations in video games in which you just gotta keep spinning the slot machine. I think it would be better if the game had other systems to account for that, and it kind of does. This has buffs to diamonds, and it has, stuff like that. But is this even it yeah, it probably can. I really went right into the mic. I saw it go. Saw it go red. It's all blown out. Everyone's screaming. There, do it in the opposite direction, and it's fine. Now, the obvious alternative is what Terraria does, which, the games are very different, obviously, but frequently compared for their for what similarities they do have, even though they have sort of different focuses. Oh god, oh god, different focuses and different ethoses, both in the sort of aesthetic of like the mood and also like the tone. Also, what gets implemented both in the beginning and also now, like the differing indies, and then the God, the continued indie with limited publisher interloping interloping versus the totally corporate hyper mega nightmare. But it is still worth saying, oh well, this one did it this way on some level, because Terraria did it the way Terraria did it is generally how no is uh, is generally how modded Minecraft does it in a lot of particularly something like Tinkers, which I don't like Tinkers very much either, because it's a very very extensive customizable system that I think I guess probably works well for vanilla or like older, smaller mod packs that are less extensive, but the current trend is for the mod pack to take up 10 gigs of RAM and be totally impossible to run a server of unless you pay like fucking, I think like 50 a fucking month for for like a rent. I mean, you can probably do it on a lot of boxes. But then people will whine and are these falling off? Is it a like? Do I not have enough? Why are they? Is it just a netcode thing? If I look, what the fuck? Why? What? What is it? The light level? Have I just been walking around in circles, putting down? Like, if I look, is it gonna? It must be the light level. Hang on. Let's. I get like okay. Totally derailed by this, but yeah, but in a lot of current mega packed mod packs, it's annoying because there's just a million different materials and you don't want to like reread them to find out like they probably a lot of them probably don't change between packs. Like bronze is gonna do the same thing probably, or like oh, yeah, bronze is gonna probably do the same thing, even if it's like 5 different bronzes, because they still haven't figured out how to unify the fucking ore lists. Now, all these years later, the pack comes out, and there's still like 5 different copper ores. If you're gonna learn to do anything, instead of putting more of them in, why not do some custom work on your cool mod pack to make it so that there isn't 5 different copper ores, but this is digressing. Essentially, this is fine, and they did literally do this. Like steel is the direct equivalent to oh to netherite in this fork. So it's not as if they didn't do that eventually, but it's not like you can make emerald tools. People thought in the beginning, oh, maybe you'll make emerald tools. No, they're just kind of a or beacons. I don't like beacons are this giant. Is there this giant resource sink that like isn't even that good in my opinion? Oh, you can mine a little faster in this area where you've probably already mined a lot because it's your home base. I don't really care about oh no, no mobs will spawn. That's what I have houses for and torches. And it looks cooler to have all the whole place lit up because otherwise you can't see. So like what's the I guess you move a bit faster, but that has been outmoded by more modern alternatives, by like the Elytra, by just make a minecart track. But yeah, the point being, it's cool and fun to not. To not have to gamble. In the game, and just to be able to like you make it and it's made and it's done. I don't like I think enchanting is cool. I like magic, but the system has a lot of random overhead, you could say. And therefore sucks a little bit. And blows a little bit and etc. Ooh. So the progression system here, where it is, it's still kind of the same loop, right? All the like air quotes progression in Minecraft is just like do the basic loop faster, except for the stuff where it's like bypass the loop entirely. Is it is it's fine, it's okay, but it's nicer to have is in Terraria. The most common thing to do in Terraria, unless you have magic storage, is to sit there sorting through chests, get overwhelmed, and just kind of fucking. It sucks because there's so many blocks, especially if you have mods. There's so many blocks, there's so many things. It's a nightmare, but it's fine. It's just sort of a very wide net, you'd say. Like, Like Terraria and modern Minecraft, especially modded Terraria, these are things where you're doing a lot. You know, the instinct might be to bring up the like deep pool shadow puddle kind of thing, but no, because there's still a lot of stuff to do and go into also, but it's just there's just more, infinitely more. There's 800, if not 800 pages of cosmetic blocks that you have to choose from when making your base. Half of them you can feasibly make without going far out of your way to get some particularly obscure material that you don't have on hand. And so making something in modded Minecraft is a nightmare because there's so many, it's choice paralysis. There's so many things you can do. And uh whereas in this, simpler game, they have some new blocks, but they are limited in scope. A lot of them are just sort of things which backport beloved inclusions, like, that's pine, but it's actually spruce, or, you know, birch, acacia, etc. Cocoa beans, they've brought them in, uh, from a different place, but still. I don't actually know if you can do 4x4 saplings in this, because that's a great thing. I like that a lot. That's one of the best things they added in the later the later years of Minecraft. I love giant tree. Um, you can just build it, which is what has happened up above ground. Um, but oh, oh. Was not this sniffly at the start? This is probably some kind of uh computer radiation beam. This is the AIDS satellite. It's AIDS. Oh, it's AIDS. Oh, oh, Muriel, etc. Um, I think I've run out of expansion on this kind of. So, another pause. This is not strictly uh oh god, what's the word? Contiguous, that's it. This is not strictly contiguous with a Minecrafting conversation, but you have such a fucking cool voice, man. It's it's funny because it's essentially the only way that it was ever going to be. I think it is, I call it like serendipity. It's like a more biological form of nominative determinism. Well, not determinism, but when someone's name fits their like identity or their profession or whatever. Obviously, there's a deterministic element. That's why they call it that. But for this, it's just sort of obviously habits and the internal state and monologues will have an extended effect on however someone talks, but I think it is whimsical that you sound essentially exactly how I would expect you to. I think that's cool. I think it's cool that in a sort of auxiliary way. I also like must needs not be that enamored with that sort of thing, like just ideologically. Otherwise, uh, I would be entirely inconsistent because my whole thing is I do not want particularly to know what anyone looks or sounds like. My continued uh statement is that you are whoever or whatever you are on the computer, and that's like if you draw a little picture of a guy, that's you. When you look like when you draw your little guy who looks kind of like a lemmings, that's you. That's your guy. That's you. And any other representation is inherently less less accurate than whatever you have picked to represent yourself, because it's intended interpret not interpretation, an intended expression of your, be your true mind at all, which is essentially just the thesis from like 2 minutes into fucking Red Moon Heavy Second Life into Dreams, but in World At World. But because my parentheses our voice, I don't know if it's particularly fitting. I don't know if I could say that, like serendipitously fitting. It's something. It exists. I don't know if it. I don't know if anything about the way I look or sound or anything like that particularly reflects my true mind. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know how to. I'm effectively incapable of making that judgment call. I think that's kind of an external judgment thing, because inherently the way you sound is always going to be the way you sound because that's how you sound. But also, the way you sound to yourself is not the way you sound to anyone else because of the way the like ear is shaped and the emanation of the waves. So when you hear a audio recording of yourself, it's like, who's this asshole? This isn't what I sound like. I sounded completely different, and now I sound like this. That's fucked. I think I'm gonna start smashing my head into the drywall. But so it's essentially something that it's a value judgment that other people have to make based on their sort of uh, limited interpretation of your fevered mind, the extensive depths of your storied inner life, etc., etc. Which is fine, but I don't know if my what I'd like it to. It'd be cool if the intonation and the tones and the sort of the tenor and the vocabulary choice and the texture of it all coalesced into a thing that you can essentially say is is representative fairly well, if not quite perfectly, as it stands. I think it has too much variance. I think my parentheses, it's yeah. I don't say it enough. I don't make the statement enough, but it is always implied, except when it's not. Uh, it's only, well, not only sometimes, it's frequently implied, but not always implied. It can't be 50-50 because nothing is 50-50, so it's like as it stands, is just a sort of. There's too much variance in that. I think I sound essentially like a different person, depending on the day, and like the minute, even, or not, maybe not minute, but like hour, certainly, or half hour even, or maybe minute. I don't know. Um, yeah, essentially, the the flip flop between the sort of quiet, croaky, well abused, very dry uh, palette, and the of the sort of like vaguely sickly sounding, uh, not thinking about it default versus the uh, forced makes it sound bad, but sort of intentional energism or energistics of the sort of upper tilt or lilt or tenor of intentionalized. Previously, you probably say more towards like feminization or androgenization, but more realistically in the current era, uh, uh, psychological warfare effort in order to sound more audibly 14, uh, on account of being a big uh, turbo hyper schizo faggot and repeatedly mispronouncing the first syllable in the word. What's the real equivalent of irrespective? It doesn't matter. Irrespective may not be a word, but it sounds similar enough to a word that everyone basically knows what it means. And in fact, it might actually be a word, and I might be thinking of irregardless, which is a double negative, which is what people get in a way about it. But I've forgotten what I was actually about to say there in tumultuous misery and sorrow. Um, uh, less that's another ideal intentionality. What's with the today? What's with all the uh uh why introduce this? Why not simply be silent? As is the usual norm. But I mean your voice is cool because it is basically a one-to-one of what I would expect you to sound like. And I think it is assuming that it is well, it's not something you can actually do because it's not. I mean, that's the whole thing I was kind of getting at in a roundabout way. Maybe not directly, but implied maybe necessarily that it's very difficult for your voice to be a self-expression in the truest terms because it'll always sound different to someone else. Even outside of like fucking evaluative conditioning shit and just like pre-existent perceptives or whatever. It's hard to customize your heart's content even within the bounds of what is reasonable to do because it is uh, kind of imprecise in that like you will never actually hear it. You will only hear something completely different and then other people will hear it and you have no way of knowing. So it's nice when it kind of what I was going to say is it's nice when it lines up like that. It must be nice, but then you don't hear that. You hear something completely else, and obviously you think, oh, this is what I sound like. This probably must needs represent me because it does necessarily, but how much? This is still mostly fucking there. Um, oh, Snuffly again. Mm. It's also like you didn't pick it, right? And you can't engage with it that much. And again, the point is, I basically just think that whatever you pick is you, but I still think it's whimsical when it sort. Oh God. Oh, when it sort of lines up, at least in some sense, even if that sense is someone completely different getting something out of it. And I'm in a sort of ambivalent state about that idea myself, because if someone were to get something out of something I said or did, then it would be cool, I guess, but also I'm very aggressively in the camp of don't do shit for an audience, whether literal or phantasmic, because it will just fuck with you. Just do stuff. Just do stuff. Just do stuff. Now, this is a lot more of a letter than a like open audience. I mean, you can do an open letter too, but that's not. But recontinued gameplay loop was what the actual topic was. The Minecraft topic in Minecraft in constantly in Minecrafting. What's that from? It's gotta be some beleaguered parody. Um fucking yeah, just hand under the right wall, just bop, 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 blood everywhere, screaming, crying, uh pissed all over the khakis. Um the the cool thing about Minecraft, or even but it's barely modded. It's like the most basic mod that fucking every pack has is not just uh a fucking log cutter or whatever it was called, tree cutter for the for hitting the bottom of the tree, but also the more generalistic like blob match vein miner or like pattern like tunnel miner is probably the single greatest, better than any sort of gear increase, better than any sort, because it just speeds up mining by such a degree, and it's that convenience, it's that modern convenience. But I think things like this are sort of the kind of thing that, again, ideologically, I would like to engage with a lot more, because they're sort of not tests of patience per se, but they are very methodical. Let's say methodical. Let's call it methodical, and let's sit here and think about, the loop, because you say, well, the basic loop, which I agree, the basic loop is, it's what Minecraft is. So if you don't like that, then you kind of don't like Minecraft, the game at least. I think it's perfectly reasonable to just like the sort of ethos of something. Being a secondary is oft ridiculed, but I don't care enough to be like, oh, you didn't You only read the fucking wiki to like insert SMP title here. You didn't play if. You didn't play if. You just watched a fucking 30-minute review on it. I think that's bad when people like absorb other opinions wholesale without thinking about what they think about anything. They're just repeating something they heard as if it's gospel. I think that's bad, but I think it's fine to just like not really care about something you care about. Just only take the elements of it that you really latch onto and sort of discard anything else. I think that's fine. I think it's okay to do it. I think, I'm taking the wrong way. This is all like it's supposed to stop at 65. And yet, like look at that. I've gone way past for no reason. So, it's probably like that there. It's a good idea. Stolen, plagiarized, plagiarism again, and killed by the mafia. Um, but that methodical quality is key to the game, and when you take away that with, when you, Chris, they have sped up Diamond as you said, but it's still not like turbo fast. It's not like, God, why? It's not like insano fast. It's a workable amount of speed. It's not totally bullshit, essentially, is the is the conceit. And before there we go. It's balanced essentially. The team has shown restraint in attempting to stay true to the shared vision, the sort of zeitgeist they're emulating. Uh, Instead of going turbo wacky with it and turning it into yet another filled to the brim with a million blocks mod pack, as opposed to the point of it, which is to feel like a natural continuation, like a fork, like a what if. You still get that bit by bit cave noise methodology. Oh, God. But you end up with a lot of additions to the loop that are supposed to upgrade and augment and speed up the loop in mods in modern Minecraft and modern Minecraft and all the things in between. Well, it's really only those three things, but it all just sort of takes away from this slow, plodding, methodical loop. And it is kind of a time waster, but that's the thing I think I detest about the ethos there of all this shit where they add the new thing, the new blorbo, which is a good term. I appreciate the terminology of blorbo. They add the new blorbo, they add the new sniffler, voiced by Jimmy Fallon or Kimmel, whichever. Uh, the 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 the, the, the gambling of enchanting adds a lot of time to the equation. Um the like searching for specific biomes to get 2 blocks to do one specific thing, all these little dalliances, they're time wasters, but they're very specific. They're like almost quest like time wasters. And I think that goes against the, because ultimately you probably would per capita spend more time. Why am I going up? Spend more time uh in a world like this, in a context like this, just mining, building slowly, than you would with your upgrades, and also doing. But it's this equalizer. They keep adding augmentative upgrades that speed up the loop, and then realizing that if you speed up the loop, then there's less to do, because like you do everything faster. So I think this time, this downtime is important in the sort of formulation process. I've thought, staring at the fucking space in the middle of the moment, I can't think of a building idea to make, but down in the mines, I can, I'm not doing anything else. I can just think, watch something, listen to something on the side maybe, but I can think about, what blocks could I use for this? What shape could I do for this in this place or this place? And every extant building idea I think I've had, other than the original lot, was just from like the initial digging out of a house, was just sort of mining somewhere and thinking, oh, what if I did that? That would be cool. I think that the removal of that downtime, sort of, as well as augmenting the speed of everything, like directly, literally in the game, it also augments, I think, the rate at which people discard their their runs, their worlds, whatever you want to call it, because, oh, it's AIDS. Uh, Without that downtime, you have less opportunity for reflection, less opportunity to, go through your options, go through your stuff here, and ultimately, I think that's a shame. I think that's a bad thing. I think it's something they kind of get, or at least they are indirectly almost addressing it, in that there's all these little blorbos, and they're doing all, you can get the sniffler flowers, and you can do this bullshit, this or that. You can get a little hat or something that you don't really do anything with, but you can get it. These time wasters are things that do feel like wasted time, I think, in a lot of situations, because they are imposed. They are imposed upon the player as a sort of, you should really do this cool new thing, this interesting new phenomenon that we have invented for you to partake in. You should slam your head against this for a while. It's maybe not an obligation, but it's the kind of thing. Well, it's there, isn't it? Shouldn't you do it? Shouldn't you engage with all the content and systems available in this fucking thing, in this beautiful world? And the answer is, well, not really, if it's gonna fucking suck, because these things that are Built to Waste. I kind of talked about this in one of the other ones, either the first or the second one, where it's like I'm pretty sure they do this specifically as like a metrics thing. So that's probably where it's coming from, as opposed to like answer this. But I think it's a lot more objectionable ultimately than if it was just like this. And, you know, it took a while. You had a lot of sort of, maybe you could call it grindy even, like just engaging with the loop over and over, just mining stuff out, or even the sort of slower process of first time exploration, where you don't have an elytra, you don't have any of this jetpack bullshit, so you just sort of walk. Can't even run, no running. So you just walk. That calm downtime is the kind of thing that gets optimized out, but is integral to the experience. If it's all action all the time, then you don't have any reflection, right? If you're doing stuff all the time, then you don't have any time to reflect on what you're doing or what you want to do or how to do it, and you just run out of ideas and then you stop playing. So I think I would argue that has contributed to the general lack of longevity of the average Minecraft server playthrough, whatever. And it's tedious to be down here, obviously, but it's what it is. That's what it's all about, baby. Mining in crafts. It uh, uh mining and craft and crafting and mine. This is my thesis. In Minecraft, you play as a man named Steve. Steve crafts in mine shafts and mines in mine shafts. This is the impetus of the title of the game, Minecraft, in which the mine in Minecraft represents the mining and the mine shafts, and the craft in Minecraft represents the crafting. In this essay, we will explore the deep relationship between crafting and Steve, etc. Kind of fucking thing to say. Uh, but I've gotten a is the net landscape, as it were, is increasingly conducive to a totally turbo fucked attention span, and I don't have a great attention span necessarily. I think I kind of do, but also again, I will just sort of forget the impetus of what I was doing, and then, why am I doing it? Cave noise. Why not do something else if I don't even get why I was doing this in the first place? That's not an all the time thing, but it's just like hopping between maybe you just can't, like trying to find a comfortable position in bed almost. The constant tweaking for tweaking's sake, and if you enjoy that, it's fine. It's something to do. If you like busy work, then it's busy work. If you think it's fun, right? But essentially, I've been very much on a quest to become more patient and just be able to just, like, if something's taking a while, who cares? Just do it in the background or like come back later, right? Like, so people get so fucked off about the most minor inconveniences, like I talked about the other day. a lot of people would probably be agonized by the occasional netcode fuck ups, but like just wait 5 seconds, or like if it disconnects you, just reconnect, or maybe if it goes down for like, oh, it goes down for 10 minutes, do something else, come back in 10 minutes. You know, Gen 2 has helped with a lot with that, because you know it's all compiled in time. You put it on, and then it goes in the background, and you don't need it right now. Like, you don't need this bullshit right now. You can just do it in a minute. It's fine. Or or had something. Fucking had something. Had a whole thing. A whole fucking thing, and oh, this is the true agony, not any kind of snuffle. Alright, but like, you'll notice this is a low frame rate. Why is it a low frame rate? Because if you go into the video settings, it's set to 16. People freak the fuck out about... I get if you're a competitive gamer and you want your refresh rate, you want your fucking monitor refresh rate to be able to keep up with the CS2 subtick, like, tick timings. One problem. Shut up. Secondly, I guess it's fine. I guess it's like, if you can actually feel it, then, or even if you think you can feel it. I get fucked off about placebo, like, cargoism like that. Not only is a perfectly stagnant, stable 30 fine, but this, like, this is, you know, 16 with occasional bonus jitters due to AV1 codec going on, thanks to the famous gay broadcasting software company and their fantastic products, such as Penis Broadcaster Studio 5 or whatever. Who cares? But I've said it to this because, essentially, as an ideological thing, like, I should be able to put my money where my mouth is. If I think it's fine if the frame rate is low and it doesn't fucking matter and it looks alright even, then I have to be able to substantiate that. If I like old Minecraft more than current Minecraft, then I have to be able to like stand by that. I have to be able to not immediately renege on that idea as soon as anything at all happens. As soon as it is convenient, which is immediately, right? If I believe this, then I should be able to, like, put it into words, back it up, and yeah, it's fine. It looks fine, and it's fine. You do not need, you know, maybe if in a fighting game you want 60 because you've got all those, you know, 60 frames a second, you got all those frame perfect inputs to do, right? Competitive contexts, I understand. But you're not in a competitive context. You know, it's the thing of, like, people will complain about, oh, my ping is garbage, my frame rate is garbage. I get if it's fluctuating because that makes it difficult to do inputs at all, but if it's stable, at a stable 200 ping, 15 frames a second, a guy who's really good at League of Legends could kick the hell out of you because you're not good at League of Legends. You're like Silver 3. Whereas Mr. fucking, 1 second. You know, Faker League of Legends can obliterate you immediately with no effort, even with those disfavorable things, even on that disadvantage. You know, a good player doesn't need to whine that they're getting their ass kicked by the broken fucking like guy, the broken character. They just, you know, if you're really good, you can beat all the guys at the local tourney playing Dan. And they'll go, fuck, man, I just got beat by this guy on Dan. I suck, or maybe he's really good. Either, oh, ugh. Maybe he's really good, either or. Maybe both, but the thing is, like, it doesn't matter. No one except like 1% of the player base of any game is actually at a level where it really makes that much of a difference to their like ultimate skill cap of what they're currently capable of doing. That, oh, my ping is slightly bad, or my frame rate doesn't totally perfectly line up with the tick rate. You're you're like you're in the low leagues. You're in the bottom fucking 50, 75, 80% of players, because everyone is, because that's how statistics work. I get mad about it, and I get mad about people who pretend that they can hear the difference between FLAC and WAV, even though that's physically impossible. And this is also hypocrisy. It's a major hypocrisy, because I'm a proud advocate of indulging your gay little delusions to your heart's content. So who am I to tell this person who's obviously wrong that they're wrong? I'm obviously wrong about a vast majority of things, and yet I advocate that I should be allowed and encouraged to be this way, and so should everyone else. When I'm sitting here nitpicking about how, oh, this guy's wrong about frame rate, I guess that's just the difference between like having an opinion and being able to respect somebody else for it. I guess that's I guess that's that. I suppose. I'm supposing. Me what I suppose. Fuck, like Times New Roman above the Wojak, the supposer in big like 30-point font. The gay comer or whatever. Uh and this is the thing I also got into a bit ago about like dipshit ray tracing shaders and how they all look terrible, which is also just an issue with like fidelity as a replacement for the artistic sort of flourish of like a style. The idea that fidelity is good and should be pursued is essentially poisonous to the industry and should be abolished. And no one should be making games that look like real life unless, like, I don't know, they really want to. But most people don't really want to. Either they want to make like a game that's gonna sell well and like is AAA because it's just the fucking it's just blast processing again. But maybe they're also one of those shitheads that's like, oh, but video games aren't artistic enough. They're not high art. We need to make them more like movies and remove all of the unique opportunities that come with this medium and just make it. What if it was? Because people should talk Metal Gear for just being cutscenes, but Metal Gear is one of the greatest advocates of doing dumb video game bullshit that you can only do with video games, like Psycho Mantis, like the fucking like the whole gimmick with Raiden being like a halfway player insert, because the Force 21 trials. I don't know if you know anything about Metal Gear. Uh, Imagine I was talking about. I mean, I don't have to treat you like you're five. I mean, it would be cool to be five, but like, I don't have to be like, oh, because you're an ignoramus and you don't know about this cool shit. I'll just pretend I was talking about Baby sensory videos. You fucking stupid bitch. Uh, no, like I'm just. It's all tangents. It's always tangents. Like I'm sure you've noticed. Whenever I type something to you, it's like just endless tangents, and then you have the endless sort of like the I see sort of thing. We both have our conversation filling apparatuses or default responses. My default response is to uh just completely derail immediately and respond to the original statement insofar as kind of, and then mostly just waffle on about some halfway unrelated shit for 300 years. But you know, I don't dislike that. I think that's a perfectly reasonable way to talk. It's total annoying bullshit, but like I like that. I like listening to that. So I simply, not that I'm worried that you will resent me for my endless wall. You are an avid wall enjoyer. Avowedly an avowed wall enjoyer. Avowed avid wall enjoyer, but it's just kind of funny that a lot of the time the ways that people have conversations is by almost not having a conversation. Uh, uh, did I ever finish the fucking? Okay, the thing about the gameplay loop was no, I definitely did finish that. Never mind. Uh, but I guess I've exhausted my current repertoire, so let's watch another minute or two, or maybe like 10 or 5 or 100 or 3 or 1 or 1,000 or 386 or 2 or 1.5 or 1 or 2 or 50 or that sort of thing. Got maybe actually a minute further and just try to make this one quick. Re Gold Tools having a long-standing zero use case, essentially. I think that is something you could say is one of Notch's weaknesses as a developer, is that his essentially stems from the same place as what made him so good, is that constant forward motion of just adding new cool stuff, um, adding cool new mechanics and adding new experiments, new things, move forward, sort of left old things in the lurch a little. And particularly in the case of Gold Tools and Vanilla, they are essentially calcified because they are what they were years and years ago, because to change them now would be to change one of the things that is very Minecrafty about Minecraft. It's a cultural touchstone that these things are a certain way, and so to change them up would be you're messing with the original stuff a bit. It's like people will get mad about it. Essentially, people complain a lot, but people complain a lot about all the dumb shit Mojang does anyway. So maybe that's a like reading too into it, but that constant forward motion, something like apples, I'm quite fairly sure that the apples falling from trees were uh added after uh the purchase by Microsoft. That was an example of, well, we already have this thing, so let's go back and do something with it. And it's not like that never happened, right? It's not like things didn't get added to like really to just get rid of these cherries is the main thing. Put them in a chest somewhere. But it does. The cherries are wonky. I wish they were a little. Because I get why they're this small, but at the same time, I mean, I guess you're just supposed to put them in ice cream then. So, fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. But for something like, you could say, like, oh, Redstone got expanded, right? But that's not really like a. Pistons aren't really an expansion of Redstone. Redstone is just the medium which activates it. If Redstone was never added, you could just do it with a lever, and that pulse would just not be called like a Redstone activation pulse. It would just be called something else. The piston, the sticky piston, were just new little things to do. And you get a lot of like Mojang's Minecraft, you get a lot of that sort of circling back. Maybe not for certain things like gold tools, but for things where it's reasonably an addition rather than a modification, like you know, adding meat to every animal because it's just pigs, but now there's beef, now there's chicken, now there's mutton, now there's there's rabbits and you can cook the rabbit, or there's like a grasshopper you can eat. Llama meat. Yeah, and they spit on you, I think, as a form of attack. So going back in that way to add like features to old things, like adding apples as a thing you can actually get instead of just, oh, if you kill Notch, which you're not gonna kill Notch. Who's gonna kill Notch? No one. If there are 5 active Minecraft servers and Notch is just some guy who is like, he's the dev, and sometimes he comes into one of them and he's like, hey guys, do you want to come like challenge kill me for apples? That's cool. Like that's a cool thing, but in a bajillion player game, the priority is obviously, well, we have this asset, so why not use it and then we can do stuff with it. Rather than keeping it as this like myopic little Easter egg for something that was created essentially with in mind the expected audience of Minecraft, which is maybe 100 people. Minecraft was created for initially for a very select group of people, which was just whoever might stumble upon it. Most indie games are not Minecraft. Most indie games see like 100 people, if that, play them, or like play them, like get into them. Because I think a lot of games have 100 all-time players, at least. Play a little bit of it and stop even. But Notch did not think of anything to do with gold tools, and he didn't think of anything. Well, he like you said, he did the experience, and adding experience to things is like, yeah, you're changing the what you get out of, you know, mining ores and killing things, but that's not, you're not really changing the ore. You're not changing the effects of the ore. You're not changing the, like, mob. What you're doing is introducing a new system, and that new system exists for its own sake. You know, the piston is not an extension of redstone. It exists for its own sake, and just kind of can happen with redstone. You would get something set up, and, you know, things would go back to, I think, uh, particularly really early. Like, I'm pretty sure gravel did not always drop flint to memory. I'm pretty sure they added that after the fact, or like, uh, how you got shears eventually, how they introduced shears and you could shear sheep instead of just right-clicking on them. That's, I think you could go either way on that one, because, like, it is a new item, like a new thing, but really it's a modification to an old system. So that is that's an excellent example of going back to, like, do something and make, like, change a system and set it up so that you can get more out of it if you engage more with it, because you can kill a sheep still for one wool, or you can get, like two wool maybe, or like it's a renewable resource is the thing about it. It's a renewable resource now, and you get more of it, and I don't know. I think that's a fairly reasonable change. I will, you know, I can say, you know, it was fun and kind of cool, just kind of right click the sheep and just get it. It was convenient, but as we've gone over, convenience is not necessarily good. Convenience is not necessarily ideal. Convenience can be the very opposite of a boon towards doing thing, having a good time. It can suck the fucking life out of it. And then no more Minecraft. Minecraft is dead forever. They killed it. They killed it. It's over. Oh, they've ripped the Sovel out. They've ripped the Sovel out and they've put in the determination extractor. Famous fucking Undertale. Have you heard of the game Undertale? I'm not sure if you've heard of the game Undertale, but it was released in 2005 by Obi Docs. A mysterious Finnish developer who recently contracted. Don't say AIDS. Say. I mean, syphilis would be sad though. If Tobias, if Tobias Fox. Oh, what was it? Mm, uh, uh, okay, recovered. If Tobias Fox were to contract syphilis, I would be sad. It would be a sad thing, because, you know, he is that little dog. He's just like a little guy. He's not like a person. He's just that dog. He was typing on the keyboard. You know, thing about representative. Oh, oh. So essentially, I would be sad because he's just like a little fucking guy. And if he got syphilis and he had like the big sad face emote on, if he was like crying and stuff because he had syphilis, I would be crying too. I would be weeping openly because it'd be very sad. And it's one of those things where the extended, it sounds like an extended bit, but I think we've talked about this before, but the sort of like saying it like a in a silly way, saying things in a kind of silly or like incredulous inducing way, people assume like, oh, you're this is some kind of irony thing. You're an ironic guy. I hate irony. I think irony is for losers. That's not strictly true. It's just I don't know how to say it more succinctly than. And you can hear the croaks start to come in. I was doing this sort of up for a bit, but the sickness is God really kicking in. But I can fight it. We can fight it. It's fightable. But if you say it in a bullshit way, people are like, "Oh, he's lying," or he's like, "Maybe he's lying. Who knows? It's meta irony." That's fine. You can do that, but I'm not lying, or like I'm not being ironic. I can lie, but if I feel like it's usually pretty obvious if I'm lying for comedic effect because it's just obviously not true. I'll say something like, uh, I'm about to blow up," and I'm not about to blow up. So that prima facie, that's a fucking lie. I'm lying. So this shit away. The the other the other way, the other world, the other universe here that is the real world as opposed to the foolish misinterpretation of rubes who do not understand that sometimes people may express themselves in a slightly quirky way without it invalidating their entire like basis of speech is I would weep like a little baby. I would be like, "Oh, the little fucking dog's he's got AIDS." I'd be crying and shit everywhere. And I'm frequently cognizant of the fact that I say something that probably sounds like a joke, but it just isn't. Like I'm not like that's not true. I'm just I I just am true. I'm just telling the truth. But this is sort of getting mad at the phantasm. This is getting mad at an imaginary audience. Audience. Uh oh God. Ugh, such is life. These in here. Okay, so that's like maybe 10 minutes converted into 2 hours. I hope you know, I don't expect you to like return in kind any of this shit. Like text or video if you just like you do just like skip over some stuff and that's good. Like don't get bogged down the way I do if it does not come naturally to you in like tangentials, right? Or even just like having to like respond to something. Like if it's this is mostly and I fucked myself on this. And I'm not doing this again, or at least not like immediately. Maybe if you do another one, but I'm categorically not doing this for the InfDev videos, the Polyworld videos, because I got this cool thing to like this awesome thing to like watch and listen to and just be relaxed to. Listen to this cool fucker talk about things which I generally think are awesome sauce and agree with or can generally get behind. I've got this great opportunity for like enjoyment here, and what I've done is not watch the fucking video. All I'm doing is talking about things that are not in the video and also occasionally something that is in the video. And I don't think it's bad, but I wish I was just like because I kind of have to do it this way, right? Because otherwise I will just forget. I will forget what I had. It will go away and I'll never remember it because it's just 5 minutes go past. I will forget it. So if I wanted to do this, and I did want to do this, and I do still want to finish this, then I have to do it this way. But, I justify it saying, what I want is like a kind of, lay down, sort of be relaxed, kind of like fall asleep to thing. Like this cool thing. I can kind of, look off to the side and see the sights being shown off in the cool craftoidal area and clap and be delighted by it. But by doing it this way, I can't do that. And I hope that you will do something along those lines with these, and you'll just, you know, they will enter your mind and will not be total bullshit, but will in fact be like a cool thing to listen to. That's the ideal situation, and I don't think it's unreasonable. I think that's probably how it would basically go. So just like don't make my mistake here. Don't make my mistake here, and I will not be repeating this mistake, and I will be watching those fucking Polyworld videos, and maybe I will write something down, like to maybe like respond to later. Maybe leave a YouTube comment of some sort, or really just fucking message you. But this is just it's an extended process. It's engaging. It's like a thing. It's an excuse to ramble, if nothing else. If just in terms of total self-interest, but also it is an undertaking that has took like a month or like a month and a half or some shit, and it's like, why not just pick out a couple things and like just watch the video, like respond to like the general ethos of it, or like whatever, right? And in the future, that would be what I would do. But like, it's not bad. It's not a bad experience. It's just I'm inundating you with, I mean, not filler. Filler in so much as anything I've ever said in my life is filler. So either incredibly or not at all, depending on how you want to view it. But just, I don't know how I do this shit, man. I need to watch Night of the Galactic Railroad because I said, oh yeah, yeah, I'll definitely watch that. But then I thought, well, I'm gonna burst into tears. I know already I'm gonna burst into tears, so I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna put this in my back pocket for a rainy day, the way I have the Hertzfeld flicks. And I've still only seen one World of Tomorrow for the same reason. Goddamn, for the same fucking reason, even though that's stupid. I want to watch those. Why don't I watch those? Because they're, for a rainy day, for when I'm feeling particularly capacitive. But, 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 uh, it's just the classic case of doing it in a slightly roundabout way because you want to, because it works like that. Eventually it works out and it's fine, and you're not yowling or screaming even a little. And what I think I will do, now that it has been 2 hours and 10 minutes, is go sniffle for like another 3 hours or something, and just go ooh, and weep openly and cry and just blood pouring everywhere. forcibly addicted to crack by the U.S. government, and it's yeah, that's the plan. Well wishes, miscellaneously, I should say. I think I said that to you last time I left, but like I woke up the next day because it was kind of late. I woke up the next day and I couldn't remember if I actually if we had that interaction or if I just confabulated in a dream, because most of my dreams, as I've opined, are incredibly banal interactions that could feasibly happen. So I didn't know if I had said that to you. And it wasn't anything special. It was just like being like, "Hey, good night. I hope you." I couldn't remember if that had happened, or if like you left and I forgot to like say good night. Is is that what happened? I don't. It would. It's probably that. Like I said something to you, and you're like, "Yeah, okay," and then it was like a conversation. But can you prove it? There's no extant log of it. I guess maybe you could go into the. I don't know if the console going down probably would. But then what if it's out of the console history? What if it's out of the log? What if the logs are rotated? What if it's unprovable, unfalsifiable? What if secretly someone joined and posted the nuclear launch code in here and no one ever knew and it was lost to time? Or a download link to the secret second Minecraft that they're making in a lab in Turkmenistan. And no one ever knew because it went out of the logs. That'd be crazy. That'd be fucked. Second Minecraft with guns, with a big rocket launcher, with a big kaboom, and kablam. Yeah, okay, that's. I'll keep going if I don't stop. So it's just fare thee well, etc.